Pasadena Mayoral. My name is and I would first like to thank the Central Pacific College Times, the Pasadena Citizen, and the Pasadena Channel for sponsoring tonight's forum. Tonight's forum will actually be televised over the next few weeks on the Pasadena Channel, as well as being streamed online on the Pasadena website. On stage with me tonight are the 7 candidates for mayor for the city of Pasadena. They are in the order in which they will appear on the ballot. First, we have Don Harrison. David Schroeder. O.L. Harris. Johnny Isbell. A.J. Christ. Ralph Riggs. And Jerry Neal. I would also like to thank the candidates as well as you, the audience, and those who submitted questions for tonight's forum. It's that type of participation that really makes an event like this successful, and certainly indicates the interest that we all have in local government, and rightfully so, given its prominence in our day-to-day lives. The ground rules for tonight's forum is as follows. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes for an opening statement. Questions from the audience will then be selected by our panel, which consists of our area newspapers. Nathaniel Gomez, editor of the Pasadena Times, David Taylor, editor of the Pasadena Citizen, and Carol Christian from the Houston Chronicle. Each candidate will then have an opportunity to answer each question with a 1-minute response. After the question section, each candidate will then be given 1 minute for closing remarks. And for the closing remarks, we'll go in the reverse order of the ballot. We will now begin with the candidates' opening statements, and I'll start off with each candidate, and I'll read a short bio of each of the candidates, and then have them come up to the podium to give their 3-minute opening statement. Our first candidate is Don Harrison. He is currently serving as City Council, representative for District C. He was born in Abilene, Texas, and moved to Pasadena in 1952. He graduated from Pasadena High School and was co-captain of the state baseball semifinals team in 1957. He earned his associate and certificate of business from Simpson College, and later attended Sam Houston State and the University of Houston, where he received a Bachelor of Business degree with a major in management. He and his wife, Mary Ellen, have 2 children. Mr. Harrison retired from the U.S. Corps of Engineers, Galveston District, where he was chief of the appraisal and planning section, real estate division. He is a member of the National Federation of Federal Employees, Pasadena Hall of Fame, American Legion Post 521, and is a voting member of the Choctaw Nation. He served in the U.S. Army and is a Vietnam veteran. He also served on the Pasadena City Council from 1981 to 1989 and was elected mayor pro tem in 1983. He was re-elected to the council in 2003 and served until October 2006. He was re-elected to his present position on City Council in 2007. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, sir. Hello, Pasadena. Great to see such a great crowd. I've been to these forums before, and this is the biggest crowd I've ever seen in one. That shows that the citizens are interested in this election, and get out and vote for the candidate of your choice. My name is Don Harrison. I've been in Pasadena since 1952, and he really kept my bio over there, and I'm happily married for 48 years. I want to put that in there. My wife has been married 48 years to Mary Ellen and have 2 children. And I've been married 48 years to the same woman. And I want to go ahead and finish my bio and go ahead and talk about my goals. First of all, you got to have vision. You got to have vision in Pasadena. And historical district of Pasadena, we need to start looking at that and get some tax breaks down there. And there's some things that came up that are really popular, non-popular. I'm going to fight that toll road on Fairmont Road. Now, blockade. That is not going to happen. And the Pasadena plan, they talk about that. You know, the Pasadena plan is for all Pasadena, north and south. And we got good news through my efforts with Commissioner Garcia's office. We're going to get a appraisal office at the new courthouse annex on 225 Ricky Street. And I say yes to transportation. We need a park and ride out there. There's a lot of people that really need the transportation to take their people around the city of Houston. And veterans, they have a deal with the county that they get free trips to the veterans hospital. But also the main thing is, what I'm talking about is taxes. I want to hire 300, I'll have 300 police officers. I want to hire 30 more police officers. That's going to cost approximately $829,000. Now, I don't care what you say in this county. Every time they say they change the statistics and everything else, it's pretty safer. But I have a feeling that it's not safe. And I would like to see 30 more police officers on the street. And also, I'd like to reduce the tax rates, which I've been trying to do the last week on city council. Now, they asked me how I'm going to do all that without raising taxes. I'm going to get it out of the $41 million surplus that the city carries every year. And our values have gone up 8 to 10% per year. And that appraisal district is just out of hand. It's there's no uniform appraisal. And we got all this on 290 that stops the seniors and people of Pasadena from going to protest. And also with Steve Carter, I led the seniors in the fight to freeze the tax rates for the senior citizens and the water rates. Is that 3 minutes left? Thank you, sir.
The Citizen Times. And the question is, Houston does not deport people unless they commit felonies. Many do not want ICE in Pasadena because deporting people breaks families up. What is your stance on ICE and police relations partnerships, specifically immigration and customs enforcement? Your first response.
My personal opinion is, if you're here illegal, you're illegal. But I don't support the amnesty. And working with ICU and the Hispanic population, they should, should correlate the activities. But the problem is with Pasadena, we've got 60% Hispanic. It's time for Hispanic to get their fair share. We got about 10% on the police department, a very small minority on the fire department, and we have practically none in administration. Now that's where the key is. When the Hispanics are qualified, they should be put in administration and the police department, and that's where we got the problem. And you're going to have a Hispanic mayor one of these days. You're going to have a Hispanic council one of these days. It's time. And but as far as the immigration portion of it, I think that if they're illegal, that they're illegal. And I won't change my mind on that. But for the Hispanic population, we've got to work for the future, for the community altogether. It's a reality. And this whole city is going to have to work together with the Hispanic population due to the demographics and change. I've been here all my life, and it has changed. But it's a reality, and I'm looking forward to working with the Hispanic population in different positions. Thank you.
Mr. Strode. Yes, sir. The second question is a citizen's question. And the question is to the panel, what kind of tax relief do you plan for senior citizens? Mr. Harrison.
Well, there is tax relief that Silver-haired legislator and I worked on in 2004. He came to me on the city council, and he was talking to the mayor and other council members, and he couldn't get any support. So I supported him, and every council meeting for 3 months, I addressed the situation. And finally, we just basically put heat on the council to get them supported. And without that heat, they had got a petition and get the voter approval, which they did in Deer Park. They got 80% vote over there. But right now, we got the taxes frozen, and as long as you own your house, and everybody over 65 and the physically disadvantaged, they're on there too. And got $50,000 homestead exemption, and their tax is never gonna go up. And, as long as they own that home, and even though the appraised value goes up and everything else goes up, your taxes are not gonna go up. And also, with Mr. Coycott and I, we fought for the freeze for the seniors on the water rate freeze. So, those are the things we fought for the seniors, and, because, I know the seniors, you know, your fixed income, and if anything, your income goes down because of inflation, and you need all the help you can, but we need to look at other people as well. That's the reason I introduced, 2 amendments to the council, because, the taxes for people under 65 are continuing to go up, and people are foreclosing on their home, they can't afford their taxes. We need to start looking at them as well. But the seniors, their taxes are frozen at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't really know the taxes that you're paying now, but as citizens of the city, you're the framework, you're the cornerstone of Pasadena, Texas. I'm looking at these 2 folks up here, and I'm thinking, are you paying more than your fair share? If you are, it needs to be addressed. We have to take care of citizens like these folks, but instead we're spending our time, we're spending our money on other laws and the deed restrictions and whatever else we have to our
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, sir. Well, economic development, I think we ought to make all that north side historical district. The county is going to make a new annex, and we got the consul office, JP's office, the tax office, are all going to be vacant. And you got the post office around there, where my mother worked there during the 50s when I first moved to Pasadena. It's still a good building. It's a good location to make a historical addition to Pasadena. This would be good for all of Pasadena. Now, there's other buildings in Pasadena that have been sitting vacant a long time. I'm just tired of looking at them. I'm going to address the Southmore Hospital. Southmore Hospital, Columbia Bayshore Hospital, didn't want 2 hospitals in Pasadena, so they gave it to the city of Pasadena. And the Johnny Isbell administration, they sold it to an individual friend. And it's still sitting there. I would never let that happen. If I was going to, they sold it for $1 billion. I think way under market value. And then the individual sold the car track there where CBS is now for $1.1 million. And he made his money all back, just like that. And the Cargill Center. If you want to get back to the Cargill Center, that's the worst place you could put the medical court. That was another real estate deal. Records, the city remodeled it, they don't even have any records to know how much money it actually costs. And right now they're vacant buildings on the one side of it. So all those were real estate deals, the reason those buildings are down there. And also the first Pasadena State Bank building.
Thank you,
City.
Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, sir.
With our next question, we'll start with Mrs. Schroeder.
Thank you, sir. Well, that brings 9 years ago when I was on the council with Johnny Isbell, and he wanted a police chief, and I hesitated, I was undecided, and there was 2-side committee. He wanted to appoint David Mulligan, who was a sergeant on the police department, who was the head of security at Gillies. And I was undecided about a month. We went back and forth, and I was talking to different people, and I never forget what my older brother said. He said, you know, a mayor should be able to appoint his own police chief. And I still think that to this day, that he's going to have to work with him. He should have that right to appoint his own police chief. And so therefore I voted for David Mulligan. And that was the worst vote I've made in 12 years.
With our next,
Why? Well, sir, my opinion on that, I was not on the council place all over town. The council did a good job at grocery stores, at restaurants, convenience stores, retail shopping malls, anywhere you go. I think it's a great idea. But I am favoring in bars. I just can't see a cigarette and beer not going together. I think everybody's qualified up here. We're all fine people, and I think everybody's doing a great job. And I commend them for running for mayor. But there's other things besides being qualified, there's compassion and the vision for the future. And if I'm elected mayor, I want to have every Wednesday where any citizen can come by and visit with me. If I'm elected mayor, I want to put my 40 hours a week in there for that $102,000 a year job. And right now we got Mary Douglas. He's there 8 hours a day, and I want to tell you, that shows control of City Hall. When you've got a leader there, you've got control. Not micromanage, but just the fact that he's there, that somebody can talk to. The citizens and the department heads. We don't need anybody that's running another business on the side. We need a full-time mayor, and I want to be that full-time mayor and earn that $102,000 a year. And I want to see all the citizens. I want to be the people's mayor. Not special interest group, the people's mayor for all the people of Pasadena. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Strode.
He just told me that the position paid $102,000 a year. I had no idea. If I knew it paid that much, I would put out more signs. Look, my company, Levon Strode Company, has done infrastructure.
Mr. Harris, you're correct. That debt service is $157 million according to the budget prepared this year. And how to reduce the debt? There's been a lot of things accumulated over the last 20 years at City Hall. They call PR, I call them, but they don't give you any basic service. Cities were formed to create fire, police, water and sewer, and those things. They were not created to farm all these things that really don't give a service, and those are where your tax dollars are going. Now, a lot of people like them, but for instance, the volunteer program, it costs over $300,000 a year. The newsletter, about $500,000 a year. This TV station, about $500,000 or $750,000. And those are some of the things that we didn't have in the 80s. I remember Cablevision came out and did it for nothing. And you can reduce a lot, but the problem is, in the 80s we had 800 employees, and now we got 1,079. And the problem is, those employees have gone to staff, like the controller's office, back then it was 3, now it's 15. Now we created a budget office, that's 3 or 4 people. There's been the high portion of it, and there hadn't been any people on the service to do the real service work out there, like water and sewer, streets, and to finish the job, they pull them off. You ought to look at the budget and find out what the positions are. They've all lost positions. The high echelon positions, they've been created. But also, I can tell you how they reduce the budget real quick. The Prairie District have been certified, and we're going to get 3 to 5% extra in tax revenue according to HCAD, and this budget was based on a 5% appraised value going up for homeowners and small businesses. So there's 3 to 5% out there. I'd like to turn that to the homeowners and the small business. Thank you, sir.
Reduce the debt. You cut the fat and you stop the waste.
It's time. It's time we have some form of public transportation. For our seniors that can't get to the doctors, the taxi cab services are versa. We got in Pasadena, we get vouchers, but it's time. Now, I remember years ago, when my brother was mayor, Metro would not give Pasadena any bus lines out here, so therefore we voted against it. We had signs that no to mass transit. But times have changed. It's now, the Hispanic population is mainly on the north side, and I was talking to a Hispanic lady at the Subway. She said, how do you expect young Hispanic ladies, single ladies, maybe divorced, maybe single, to get off welfare when they can't even get to their job? And I said, that's a great question. I said, we need to resolve that problem. But Commissioner Sylvia Garcia has heard my cries, because next year, we have been losing federal dollars all this time to Metro that should have been coming to Pasadena. Next year, we're gonna have a park and ride on 225. And I hope that's the beginning of public transportation in Pasadena.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, sir.
Public transportation in and of itself is obviously a unique.
Thank you, sir. Well, what I've heard is about the change. You want to keep things the same, just elect anybody to my left. I would reevaluate every department. There needs to be some major changes in City Hall. I feel like the tax dollars being wasted. A lot of department heads they've been there, and I think they need to be sincere employees, but they get a feeling that council members are going to be there 6 years, so they will just appease them 6 years and they're gone. But I think we need to evaluate every department. There's some departments I don't believe we need. As I said, get back to the basics, not the frill of City Hall, the PR, and that's all it is. A lot of PR, and I don't like to play that type of game. I don't like to fool the public. The best way that you can serve the public is to get a good service and lower the tax rate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next question is from the Houston Chronicle. Mr. Harrison.
The Strawberry Road property was bought for public purpose. State law, when you buy property for public purpose, if you don't use it for public purpose, you've got to declare it excess property. Excess property, you put an appraisal on it, you determine fair market value. And then if you want to sell it, you sell it to the highest bidder. That's the only way you can get rid of that property. That's the way we got some over on Preston and Pasadena Boulevard, different areas. That's state law. That's the only way you can get rid of the property. And they bought 35 homes. There's 3 homes still out there. They want the city of Pasadena to buy those homes at this time. And I think it's undeserving of those 3 people that destroyed their areas. They're sitting there, and the city will not move to help them out. And even though it turned out to be a bad project, the city needs to show some compassion there, but thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison.
Well, I think to answer your question is, I kind of tried to address it a while ago, it's not only happening on Shaw Street, this is happening all over town. I've addressed what the employees are. They're not in street and bridge, they're not in water and sewer, they're in upper echelon jobs. And any times you've seen somebody come out in public works and dig a water line break and put a flag around it, and that same flag is around there 3 weeks later. It's over and over again. We don't have enough manpower at the lower echelon level. Even though we've increased city employees, we need more people to do the bread and butter, not the people to do the public relations. And that's why we got the city of Pasadena. And this is happening all over, not only Pasadena, Shaw Street, it happened in my district, it happens all over Pasadena. Until we get more manpower on the lower status and cut out the public relations status, you're going to continue to have that problem. When I'm there, I'll do that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
just so happens that repair.
And then finally, I'd like to thank you, the citizens of Pasadena, for participating. You are the foundation of the political process. Without you, the city doesn't work. Thank you and good night.